Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, as usual, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And if you are fed up with the mega bank experience, and if you're at one of those banks, and that's not necessarily just size, it could be just a bank that's forgotten how to serve their customers. Here's what I've found at Renaissance Bank, and this is what I hear from clients that I refer to Renaissance. They're big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them, but they're small enough to deliver their service in a personal way. That's a magic combination. If you want to take advantage of that, go to renaissancebank.com, find one of their local offices, and give them a call. And I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Darrin and Tonya Cohen. Darrin is with Feed the Well, and Tonya is with the Well. And we're going to get into the difference and all that in just a second. Actually, it's two sides of the same coin in a way, right? Darrin, Tonya, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Good morning.
Yeah, great to have both of you. Let's talk about how y'all are serving folks out there.
Go ahead. Tell them about the Well.
So the Well is a place where people in our community come together to experience the love of Christ so that they know his love and share his love with others. We create safe places for people to come and share their stories. And we don't speak into each other's stories. We have safe sharing guidelines, and we dig into the Word of God, and we bless each other, and we worship, and we share our stories in safe places, and we find healing in that space.
Safe sharing guidelines. Let's talk about what those are. What does that mean? And I guess what problem does that solve, Tonya? Because it solves a problem.
It does. Yeah. We believe that when we share our stories in safe places, that healing can happen. And most of us have been in environments where when we share something, someone in the room tries to fix us or judge us. And we have not felt safe to share our stories. And so our stories of shame, pain, and hurt have been stuffed down and are hiding behind self-protection and self-promotion. And we want to create spaces where we can share those without trying to fix or judge each other. And so your story is your story, and my story is my story. And I promise not to speak into yours if you promise not to speak into mine, because the healer and the comforter and the one who can minister to us is in the room. And so we just surrender to hearing directly from him instead of listening to what each other have to say about our stories.
Now, that's marvelous work. So why did you bring this guy?
He came along for the ride.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He was all in from the beginning when I told him that it was on my heart to create a space like this for people to be able to encounter this kind of healing and safety and being together in community. We're all made for that. And so we find friendship and sisterhood and healing in that space. And when I shared with him what the Lord had told me about my heart that I was pouring out to him, how can I help others have what he had given me? He said, that sounds amazing. Let's do it. And then a couple weeks after that, he came to me and said, what if I take my barbecue passion and all the proceeds will go to support the ministry?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's tremendous. So let's talk about that for a brief second.
Yeah, so it's exciting to bring it together. When she mentioned that God laid on her heart the story of the woman at the well and how to start the ministry, like she said, right away, I thought, great idea, let's do it. And about 2 weeks later, I was driving to my day job and thought, what if I bring the passion for barbecue? I had been on nonprofit boards before, and in the nonprofit world, you're always trying to figure out how you could be self-sustaining financially, if you could have a business or something, a thrift store, et cetera, to help. So I thought, why don't we do monthly fundraisers, and we'll just sell barbecue once a month and let those proceeds go to the well. So we started doing that pretty quickly. 3 years ago, roughly, is when the well officially launched. We started just once a month. We'd put out a menu. We actually had a ministry in a ministry. Some folks would show up at our house and cook barbecue for a couple of days. And then the families that purchased would show up at the well on Friday to pick up their barbecue. And we raised $2,500 a month, roughly, for about 2.5 years. And that's what led, ultimately, about a year ago, I reached out to the owners of Fagan's Biscuit Barn in Cumming and said, hey, any chance you've thought about selling? It wasn't on the market. It wasn't for sale. And they said, let's get together. Let's talk.
Ah.
Yes.
Yeah. So one thing led to another, and Fagan's is now Feed the Well.
It's now Feed the Well BBQ and Biscuit Barn.
Mm-hmm.
We kept Biscuit Barn because we've kept the biscuits and the breakfast. We haven't messed with the Southern style breakfast and lunch, but we are adding barbecue for lunch, dinner, and catering. And as Tonya said, 100% of the proceeds still go to the well, which is just amazing impact, past, present, and what we have planned for the future at the well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I have been there since several times since you bought it, and folks, it hasn't changed. Okay, so I'm saying that because I know it hasn't changed because I've got taste buds that enjoyed Fagan's and their history and their tradition, and you've kept that tradition.
We have. We took ownership March 15th, and all along from the beginning, I thought, they've got a great thing going. Started 18 years ago, incredible biscuits. They win the award all the time. It's not just me saying it. It's a great staff, great culture there. And from the start, I thought we are not messing with a good thing. We've put some paint on the walls and cleaned up some tabletops and stuff, but we've kept the staff, we've kept the menu, and we will. We're not going to change that 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's that same Southern style breakfast, lunch. Only thing we're doing is adding and enhancing by adding some good brisket and pork and chicken and all the good barbecue fixings.
That's about the best addition you could make in my world.
I agree.
Adding barbecue to anything is a gift from God as far as I'm concerned. That's terrific. Let's get back to the ministry itself, Tonya. And I think we need to give more of the backstory, if you don't mind. Just talking about what your own personal journey and how that led to the well.
Yeah, so I grew up going to church every Sunday morning, Wednesday night, handbells, choir. If the church was open, I was there. And I had a fundamental belief in God, and I had put my faith in Jesus as my Savior and believed I was going to heaven, but really just had God on a shelf most of my life and was just making my own decisions for me and not really considering how do I actually follow him and live life the way that he designed for me to live it. And so that led me to my 40th birthday. I did that for 40 years. And at my 40th birthday, I found myself going through my second divorce with kids by 2 different fathers, about to be a single mom on a commission-only job, not making much money, and drinking myself to sleep at night. And I was just burying my shame and my pain in the wine glass. And when I was turning 40, my next door neighbor gave me a gift, and it was the Jesus Calling devotion. And I opened it and I looked at that, and it literally was like he was calling me through that. And I looked and I said, you know what? I have tried to live life my own way all these years, and look what I've done and look where I am. So looking back over what I had done by running life my own way, I was like, I'm done. I surrender. And so that was 9.5 years ago. And I have surrendered every day of my life since that day. Just said, I don't want to live life my way. I want to live it your way, God. Please show me how. And about 1.5 years into that journey, I met Darrin. We got married. And about 6 months after that, I was asking God to bring Christian girlfriends into my life. And he did it. And my first yes to him was, okay, I'm just going to invite a bunch of women to my house for a Friday Bible study. And I've never led a Bible study, and I've never prayed in front of people but my kids, but I'm going to do this because I just trust you, God. And he brought the most beautiful group of women into my life to come every Friday morning into my home. And that was where I discovered that sharing your stories in safe places brings healing. And so it was just a passion of my heart after hearing all these stories where I would have never known these things about these ladies had we not gotten to that place of love and trust and surrendered each other to him, that I was like, Lord, how can I help others have what you've given me? And that was when he reminded me of the story in the Bible of the Samaritan woman and how she came in the middle of the day because she wanted to avoid other women. But he went to her that day and he saw her, he knew her, and he loved her, and she got saved, and she ran and told everyone about him. And so the next vision I had in my mind's eye was the whole community was around the well, and in the presence of Jesus, they experienced perfect love and perfect joy and perfect peace. And I just longed for everyone to know him the way that I had come to know him, and to do that in community with others.
Wow. What a powerful story. And this was over what period of time? From the time you had your 40th birthday to today, what?
Yeah. So I turned 49.5 years ago. I met Darrin a year and a half in. He brought that group of women into my life a couple of years later. And then in 2018, so that was, I turned 40 in 2015, so 3 years in, was when I was just asking him, Lord, how can I help others have what you've given me? And that was when he showed me the vision of the Samaritan woman and Jesus meeting her there. And then we opened the well in 2021. Of course, we had to come through 2020.
Right.
And that was a year of personal healing and equipping that the Lord did in my personal life, where he taught me to come to him for everything, ask him every question. And he was the one who just guided the mission and the values and all the things that we live out there. And it really is just a beautiful place in a retail center. And part of that is a lot of people won't go into church because they've been hurt by church. They've been hurt by a Christian. They've been hurt by a pastor, and they don't want to walk into a church. So we're in a retail space, and they get to come in and experience the love of Christ there.
And talk about how the group developed into something that you're obviously going, I hate to use this term, scale, but you're going to grow.
Yes.
Right. So how you had to develop a methodology for running the group. You talked about safe sharing guidelines, which makes a lot of sense, but talk about how you will continue to grow and the methodology behind that.
Yeah, so when we first launched, we just opened our doors from Monday through Thursday from 9:30 to 5:30, and then we realized people don't really come in after 2:30 because they're getting their kids and getting ready for home things. Husbands are coming home from work. So now we're there from 9:30 to 2:30, Monday through Thursday. And part of the heart of the ministry is, as well, is it's a living water. So people sit in on some people's groups and then they pour out and lead other groups. And a lot of our women are gifted in crafting. So we'll do crafting workshops. So sometimes you may be in a session where you're just meditating on the Word of God and journaling what He's speaking to you and sharing. And others were making a craft, someone sharing their testimony of how that craft helped them walk with the Lord. And so we just all get to benefit from each other's gifts in the community. And we are growing. And right now we're looking at launching another location in Dawsonville, Georgia, as well as in Brandon, Mississippi. We just had 8 ladies here from Mississippi and hosted a retreat for them to build their foundation. And they got to experience the safe sharing guidelines and just going to the Lord with our heart questions and having Him answer and then being able to share. And the testimony from that is these ladies had been going to church together for 20 years. And they had never shared the things that they were able to share with each other because we brought them together with safe sharing guidelines. And it was a powerful difference in their relationship from when they showed up to when they left, and they just want to go back and take it home with them. So it's really powerful.
Wow. Now you talked about that women really underpin this organization so far.
Yes.
But Darrin, men have their own issues in sharing in groups. So I'm going to turn to you and let you address that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something tells me you have an interest in bringing that piece into it.
Yeah, multiple interests. And frankly, it's been Tonya's heart from the start that this is for men, women, children, families, the whole community. Logically, just because of where the space is and the size and scope right now, it initially fed into women's lives. But we've done some men's programs. Radical Mentoring is an organization that I've been involved with for years. So we've run a couple of radical mentoring groups out of there. We've also had teenage girls, and we've done family worship nights. And part of the expansion, when Tonya talked about other locations, but also expanding. And frankly, from the start, just as we were open-handed in prayer about when and where to launch the well initially, we've also been open-handed in prayer about somebody to come along to lead the men's ministry. And I will say, a couple of years ago, Tonya came to me and said, "Aren't you the guy to run the men's ministry?" And I said, "You know what? I think I've got several gifts. I don't think that's one of them. Can I participate? Do I like leading certain groups? Yes. But to lead the men's ministry, we've been waiting, and we're patiently waiting. God's got a plan and timing. And we are, besides other locations, we've had a vision from the start of a larger facility or property for the well. So we think as we grow in size in coming, we also planned, not that we can't have some men's services right now or sessions and things, but once we expand the space, we'll have even more opportunity So right now, it's happening in small ways, but it's going to get bigger and bigger. We think God's plan, we have big plans, but we think God's plan is even bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Folks, we're chatting with Darrin Cohen, Tonya Cohen. Tonya runs a ministry called The Well, and Darrin is supporter of that ministry, both as a spouse and as a business owner. Feed the Well is the name of his business, formerly Fagan's Biscuit Barn. When you go to Feed the Well and partake of their great food, you're supporting a great ministry.
Yes, sir.
Tonya, let's talk about people's hesitations. It's not just in the institutional church. It's coming into any group and feeling comfortable with sharing. And yeah, you got safe sharing guidelines. If I'm new, I don't know about those, right? And I think my problems are much bigger than anybody else's. And because that's the way we all are. Yeah. So talk to that individual, that woman that's thinking that right now.
It's hard to be vulnerable, especially in a group of people you don't know, or maybe just as much in a group of people you do know. But I just feel like we've lived our lives just learning how to shove and hide. And to that woman, I would say, if you come in, you will experience love and acceptance and belonging in a way that you probably have never experienced it before, because we can only give away what we have. And most of us came in not having what we have now, but we've been given it by the Lord. And so it overflows out of us. And so we've been able to just receive everyone who walks in the door as if they just walked up to the well and met Jesus. And so that is my heart, is that everyone who walks in our door just walks into his arms and experience his presence and his love in a way that they're like, and women do say this, wow, I didn't know what I was looking for, but this is it. And they've just found their place of belonging. And the really cool thing that some of the ladies have described the well as is that all the things that we put people in groups or see people in statuses outside the well don't exist there, because we're just there hungry and thirsty for him. And so what unites us is Christ himself. And it's not that we don't know anyone's socioeconomic status. We don't know their background, their culture, but it looks like heaven in that place. There are all backgrounds, all colors, all denominations, and we don't talk about those things. We're just all there focused on the exact same thing, and that's what unites us. And so it really is a place where you can experience love and belonging in a way that you don't find in other places. My heart is just that we're able to rip off that mask and just be ourselves and be loved by being exactly who we are. Just come as you are, and you will be loved there.
For some people that have had their issues with whether it's the institution of a church or an individual that have really messed up their lives in some way, a lot of individuals go the complete other way in terms of, I guess, trying to do it themselves, right? And they seek out any other way other than a community that has harmed them. And what you're saying here is that the community is important.
Yes.
A community is important.
Yes.
So say more about that.
Yeah. We were made to live life together. And when we come together and we share, we realize that we're not alone in our pain and our mess and our story. And everyone's story and their mess is different, but we think when we walk alone that we're carrying something that other people aren't dealing with. And so when we come into community and we're able to share those things or hear other people share, some people may come and not share the first 1, 2, 3, 4 times, but once they're like, wow, everyone's going through something, I'm not alone in this, then they're like, they feel safer to be in that space and then share what they're going through. And we describe it as, we're not those friends that are going to try and fix you, but we're going to be the ones that put you on the mat and carry you and lower you down the rooftop to Jesus so that he can meet you exactly where you are. And so that's the way our community operates. We're like, let's come beside you and just take you to Jesus and see what he wants you to know about what you're going through. And even if that person just hears a blessing spoken over their true identity and who they are and they feel peace, or if they're able to engage in a conversation with him and he's able to take them back to a memory and do healing or whatever that might look like, we just want to be those friends that walk beside them. And inviting people into that space just creates that opportunity for them to experience him, but they can't do that alone. They need those friends to come beside them. They need the community and to feel like they're not alone in what they're walking through.
And how do you, I guess, maintain those guidelines, right? Because the reflex we have from very early age is we've got to have answers, and we're supposed to have answers, and we're supposed to help, we're supposed to fix.
Yes.
Right? And those reflexes can sometimes get in the way of the kind of environment you're trying to create.
Yes.
Right?
Because of what we've all experienced within the guidelines, we love them. And all of us, we don't mind reading them over and over again every day of the week before every session that starts, because we love them so much, because they have really helped us honor and value each other in a way that we haven't been able to experience anywhere else. And the ladies who come through the well, they'll say their favorite thing about it is that it's a safe place because we have guidelines, and they love the guidelines, so they don't mind just reading them over and over again. So we start our sessions, and sometimes it might be the shortened version. Like I said to you, your story is your story, and my story is my story. I promise not to speak into yours. You promise not to speak into mine. Let's go. And sometimes we pull out the sheet and we read all 18 of them, and we just go around the room and we read them and we talk about them, and we talk about examples of how someone might have interrupted someone's session of crying and they came out of that. So we don't touch, we don't hand tissues, we don't hug, because that's a way of interrupting the ministry that God's doing in that person. And so we just let them have their space, and if they want to share, they can, and if they don't, that's just perfectly fine. So we just honor each other that way. And that's part of the love that we get to experience in the room.
And freedom.
Yes.
That you're granting each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Tonya Cohen and Darrin Cohen are with us today. Darrin, let's shift back to you and just talk about, again, why it's so important to have the financial support that Feed the Well is offering to this ministry.
Sure. Yeah. From the start, we knew that there was a big plan, and we knew we were starting small and local, but we knew we were going to expand. You know, when you asked earlier about the future growth plans, I refer to it as reverse franchising. I don't know if that's a term or if I made it up or not, but what we see is as we plant these other locations in Dawsonville, Mississippi, and beyond, we want to be able to provide some seed capital to them in a business term. And to do that, we need to fundraise significantly. And we've been able to really launch successfully from a financial standpoint. Our bank account has grown since the day we launched with basic fundraising. But to expand to other locations, and Tonya day one said, I see a well everywhere in the world, not just in Georgia, not just in the United States. So that was a pretty big task and daunting challenge. But we thought as we expand into the restaurant beyond the original just monthly fundraisers, that way we could come alongside and partner with somebody that wants to open another location, right? So we're sorting through some of the details. We think that it's important as they launch that there's a matching program, that whatever we're providing, they have to fundraise to match, because they need to be sustainable. We're not going to be able to provide the financial resources for every location in the world all the time, but we could help them get started and pay it forward in a community sense. So the restaurant is a great sustainable way, especially in a business world, to come out and acquire a restaurant that was already thriving, successful, well-known in the community, great culture. And there's such a synergy too, because the restaurant is all about community and connection, that historically it's a place for people to gather.
Absolutely.
It's I've gone there for years to meet with men's groups, whether it's one-on-one or groups. Been there several days a week for years. And I look around and I see men, women, there's high school kids that go there every Thursday morning or every Tuesday morning faithfully, and they're doing community together just like the well. So to be able to take that existing successful community business and then use the space the rest of the day, right? They've historically been open 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. So now to expand, we're not yet open night, but we're going to be expanding to 9 p.m. to when we're still in transition to fully offer the barbecue. And so then we could really leverage and those resources and invest into not only other locations, but the larger space and to serve more men, more children, all the different community groups. So super exciting.
Yeah. Wow. What great work. Tonya, let's talk, I guess maybe the last question before we get to the most important one, which is how folks can find you. I think that's the most important one, is how does someone know they need to take advantage of this ministry? How do they know, what do they need to see in their own lives to be able to step forward and say, I want to come be part of this?
Everyone needs it. It's beautiful because it's true. We all need to be plugged into community, and a safe community is so powerful. And I love that we've had people who come in who are like, what is this place? Do I belong here? They don't even know Jesus, and they've just sat in on a group and they just want to come back, and they found relationship with him and they're walking with him now. I've been able to baptize one of the girls that came in. It was really precious. And then we have women who are pouring out in ministry, ministering to others day in and day out through the week, that come in just for their own like filling and refreshing, just to have that space during the week. It's like a little mini retreat. They can come in for a couple hours one day a week and just get filled up to be able to pour out. It covers the gamut because we were just made for this. So there's not really a need other than being human to come in and just be a part of what we're doing and to experience the love and the peace that comes directly from God, and just that community feel of belonging in a space because it's united in love.
Yeah, that's terrific. Tonya and Darrin Cohen. Tonya, let's start with you and give the details on how folks can find out more about The Well.
Yep. So our website is thewellconnection.org. We're on Facebook and Instagram at thewell.belong. And we're located on Peachtree Parkway in Cumming, Georgia, 1790 Peachtree Parkway, Suite 201. And we always tell
Which
people.
Which is near where?
It is in between exit 12 and 13 off Georgia 400 off Peachtree Parkway. The big First Redeemer Church is there, and Feed the Well Barbecue is on the other side. We're like sandwiched right in between.
Okay.
But in our shopping plaza, we have the Bagel Hole, we have Drive Smart, Posh Nails, some other places like that.
Yeah, just trying to give people landmarks on what to look for.
Yep.
Okay, terrific. Darrin, I think everyone knows where Fagan's Biscuit Bar is, and I guess in a way the name used to be, but Feed the Well, give folks details there.
Yeah, so just a half mile up the road, 1530 Peachtree Parkway, right at Sharon Road and Peachtree Parkway. Now, a lot of people drive by it because they're used to a big red barn, and we painted it white. So look out for the white barn, not the red barn. And we have drive-through. Actually, 60% of the business is drive-through, so it's a really active part of the business. And the website, feedthewell.com, is the place to check us out besides just coming in and getting some biscuits.
Yeah, for sure. And look for those new hours too. That's exciting news.
Yeah. In fact, they used to be open Monday to Saturday. After 2020, the restaurant closed on Mondays when it was hard to staff up.
Right.
Next Monday, June 10th, we're reopening on Mondays.
Oh, wow.
And then hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll expand that 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. as well.
That's awesome. What great work. Tonya and Darrin Cohen, thank you so much for coming in. We're delighted we could shine a light on the great work you're doing.
Thanks
so
for
much,
having
John.
us.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, just a couple of quick things before we let you go for today. If you are looking for classic, authentic, traditional Italian cuisine, Casanova is your best bet. Here's the deal. They were farm to table before farm to table was cool. They've had a garden back behind their restaurant for years and years, and they cultivate their own zucchini, tomatoes, corn, peppers, what have you, and it all goes into those great dishes that they prepare. Great catering too, by the way. So if you need that, check them out there as well. When you need a break from barbecue, check out Casanova. Maria and her family. They just do terrific work. CasaNovaRestaurant.com to learn more about them, and we thank them for their support of North Fulton Business Radio. Also, just a quick reminder, I've got a new book out. It's called The Generosity Mindset, A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. If you're a solo or small firm professional services provider and you are tired of not really understanding your value or how to position yourself and wish your prices were better, this book may be for you. Go to thegenerositymindset.com to learn more. And also, I just want to thank you, our listener. You have supported us these now 8 years. We're almost to show number 780, I think it is, but almost 800 shows. And I don't know what I thought when we started this show, but I didn't think 800. And we're only here because of you. You continue to support us and share the show. You like us on social media, and please continue to do that because you help us live into our mission to be the voice of business in the North Fulton region and beyond. So for my guests, Tonya and Darrin Cohen, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.